Hello, hello. Happy Sunday. Now, it seems that on my chat box, I don't have access to it. It keeps telling me there's something wrong. So if you message me, I suspect I'm not going to see it, but I will see it afterwards. So just to say that straight up, before I get into the dangers of keto on lipedema, I just want to remind you how little things can add up with your health by telling you a little story of what happened to me today. And I went to the hospital for my pre op for my surgery that was supposed to be tomorrow. And they did blood tests, they did an ECG, they did a chest x ray, they did all these things. They're very thorough. And my thyroid test was actually, I was over medicated. Now, I've already dropped my medication once since I've been here. And it seems I need to do it again because I am walking more. We don't have a car anymore. So I'm getting more exercise. Now that we've settled, the first month was really stressful, but now that we've settled, it's less stress. Those two things alone is probably what's made a difference with me lowering my thyroid medication. So before you poo-poo little things like exercise and your stress levels, please be aware that that can actually have a major difference if you're doing it every day. So I just wanted to share that with you for anyone out there that's sort of like, yeah, what's a little walk going to do every day? It can do a lot. Okay, let's talk about the dangers of keto on a lipedema diet. If you're a lipedema, sorry, the keto diet if you're lipedema. So we all know this was what's recommended for us is to live a keto lifestyle, a low carb lifestyle at the very least, and potentially carnivore for some people is even better. The only problem with that is there's a lot of amazing cooking channels on YouTube showing us how to make all these keto goodies, and we think that's keto, I can eat that. But there's a very big danger in doing that and in following that. And that is because we have lipedema. So we're different to people that don't have lipedema in what we can process in our bodies and what causes inflammation and what doesn't cause inflammation. So, like anything, it's always about you testing things for yourself before you decide that, yep, I can have all the keto lifestyle. So I follow a few people that have keto recipes. And one of them is the Keto Twins. They're amazing. I love them both. I love the recipes they come up with. But a lot of them are very high in cheese, nuts and seeds. Almonds get like thrown into everything because, and that's not just them, that's every keto channel, that's every low carb channel. But what they also remind us is that they eat those things once a week when they test the recipes for the channel. On an everyday basis, they stick with meat and veg. Really simple, really plain. They probably eat 1 to 2 meals a day. So if we're not careful, when we're watching all these keto things, when we're giving up the old lifestyle, when we're giving up the bread, the carbs, the pasta, the comfort foods, basically, then we sort of go, oh, that's okay. We can have chaffles at every meal. We can, have all the cheese. We can have the bread products that are made of almond flour instead. But can we? All right. Okay, so I've written down a few, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things we've got to be careful of from a danger perspective with lipedema. The first one's dairy. So I've already said the cheese, the chaffles, and cheese is really particularly tricky to give up. It's like the last thing that vegans give up, they always say, before they went totally vegan. And that's probably because the protein that's in it that causes us problems is also addictive. It's a casomorphine, addictive, right? So it's a real struggle to give up these sorts of products. And because they're high in fat, we sort of go, oh, but that's keto, it's okay. Not necessarily. If you are not checking your ketones daily and checking your blood sugar for spikes, you don't know what things are specifically affecting you and what are not. So even the A2 versions of dairy foods, they're not necessarily any better in lipedema. So dairy foods can cause inflammation, and inflammation causes pain. Okay, so if you've got pain and you're not improving that pain on your keto lifestyle, look to the dairy. So that's ice cream, cheese, sour cream, milk. The only thing that carnivores let in is the whipping cream, the heavy cream that is 35% fat and above, because it's more fat than sugars. However, once again, if you're not having any improvements by using that and by consuming that, try going without it. You are your biggest test. Doesn't matter what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is having, good results with. It's what works for you. That's what we've got to find out. So dairy would be the biggest danger when it comes to following a keto lifestyle, that we all get a bit comfortable in consuming. So that's the first one. The next one is nuts and seeds. Now, nuts and seeds are inflammatory, and the reason they're inflammatory is because they contain omega-3s and omega-6s. However, most of the nuts and seeds out there are more omega-6s than omega-3s. Omega-3s are the anti-inflammatory omegas. Omega-6s are the inflammatory ones. And by rights, we actually all need a little bit of inflammatory things in our body, because our body then uses inflammation to understand what needs to happen in the body, right? Our body's really clever like that. However, we're meant to have that in a ratio of 1-to-1. As a general rule, throughout the week, 1 part omega-3 to 1 part omega-6. The latest studies is that we're looking at 1 part omega-3 to 40 to 60 parts omega-6s. And that comes down to the seed oils that is in absolutely everything, even all those keto snacks that you get from the health food store and from the gym store and the supplement marts. They all have sunflower oils, canola oils, that kind of thing. They are highly inflammatory in the amounts that we're consuming them. And that's because they're in everything. They're in our herbs and spices. They're in our sauces. They're in every processed food known to man. They're in deep fried foods. They're in anything baked, cool, like everything. Just assume that if you've got something that you haven't cooked yourself, it's got a seed oil of some description in it. And in the amounts that we're having it, it is highly inflammatory. Inflammation equals pain, and inflammation equals the growth of lipedema. So it will grow as long as we keep consuming these sorts of things. So that's another danger of the keto diet. So we've got dairy, no. Nuts and seeds, minimal. And that's the thing with keto, almond flour, almond milk, almond everything is like the staple. So we're getting all these omega-6s through these almond everything, and that's problematic. So the nuts and seeds, try culling them and see how you get on with your symptoms, your weight, your inflammation, whatever it is you're tracking. Follow it and see what happens when you remove these things. And I would remove them one at a time so you can see what actually makes a difference in your body. Or you can remove all of them and then add them all back in one at a time and see what happens. That's another way to do it. Now, artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners actually maintains sweet cravings, and they've done studies on people to show that the people that consume the diet this and the low fat that and the diet everything, long-term put on weight. And that's because A, it keeps us craving sweet things. It keeps the sweet flavor on our tongue. And B, a lot of artificial sweeteners actually spike the insulin. They may not spike the blood glucose, but they will spike the insulin, and it's got nowhere to go. So if you've got insulin resistance, which many of us do have, then that's going to be problematic, always having artificial sweeteners. And I always say to people, if you're going to have the thing, have the full version of the thing. Because, like, say you have the cola, have the full you're going to have a Coke, don't have the Diet Coke, have the Coke. Because A, you're going to go, oh, I better only have one of these Cokes because you know it's full sugar, full everything. And B, you're not getting the artificial sugars, which could tank all kinds of things in your body. And it just keeps you wanting that sweet thing. I don't know about anyone out there, but when I was 21, before my thyroid tanked it, I was actually addicted to Diet Coke. I was drinking about 10 a day. And sure enough, it wasn't the only thing that contributed to it, but I'm pretty sure it was one of the contributors. So that's just a thought process. Okay, so we've got dairy foods out the window, nuts and seeds, limited. Nuts and seeds, if you're going to have any of them, macadamias are great because they're a higher omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. So that's what you're kind of looking for. And walnuts are also a higher omega-3 to omega-6s. Just a thought. So we've got artificial sweeteners, nuts and seeds, seed oils, dairy, the keto flu. That's another danger of following a keto lifestyle. You start to detox all the things that you've had in your body for so long, and you're also dumping electrolytes because when you eat carbs, for every gram of carb you eat, you retain about 4 grams of water because it's a carb, it's a carbon molecule. Oh, hydrate. So it's a carbon molecule that helps to hydrate the body, which is not always ideal when you're holding fluid. And when you hold fluid with lipedema, that attracts inflammation. That inflammation causes pain. That inflammation causes a progression in lipedema. So we don't necessarily want that kind of food in our body to retain that fluid. So, but with the keto flu, because we're dumping electrolytes, because we're not consuming those foods, we need to replace the electrolytes. So I use Sodi. It's an Australian company. Got your sodium, magnesium, and potassium. You use whatever lights you up. I use this one simply because it's West Australian salt and I'm from West Australia. So it's and it's clean and I really like the flavors. So there's a link for that in the description if you want to test that out. But otherwise, as long as you're using a clean, good quality electrolyte, then you will need to use that with a keto diet. And finally, the last danger is your fat ratio. So it is recommended that we have higher fats. However, that's not necessarily great for everybody. So what you want to test there is your triglycerides, really, not so much the cholesterols, but the triglycerides, because that will tell you if you're having too much fat in the way of, say, butter, that kind of thing. So it's tricky because some people need high levels of fat, high levels of pure butter to, straighten out the hormones and have them in a good balance. Other people need kind of higher protein and lower fat. And you're not going to know until you test it on yourself. You do the blood tests, until you do that kind of thing and track it and track your symptoms, then you just don't know because there's, so many different ways to do keto and there's so many different ways to do carnivore. So just keep in mind that if things aren't working for you, then you potentially just haven't tweaked it enough for your personal makeup, for your, for your uniquely you situation. We all breathe different air. We, think different thoughts. We have different stress levels. We're resilient in different ways. We drink different water. We have different bacteria and microtoxins in the air wherever we breathe. So because of that, our diet that makes us feel well with lipedema is going to be uniquely different and nobody can do it for you. This is why, you can have all the great naturopaths and things like that under the sun tell you what to eat, but until you test it, diarize it, tweak it, you're not going to know exactly what is good for you and what is helping to improve your symptoms. So particularly I would start with a diary that's like, okay, what's my pain levels every day? How many steps can I walk up a day? We came home via the train today in Bangkok. There's stairs everywhere. And the train went past an area that we came to in last time we were here in 2020. And I remember looking at those stairs going, oh, thank God Ollie didn't want to walk up those stairs because I wouldn't have been able to do it with my knees and my weight. Not in a million years. So if they're the things that you dread in your life, like I can't walk up those stairs, I can't even walk to the letterbox, then that's your starting point. That's what you put down in your diary. I would love to be able to walk up to the shop. I would love to be able to walk around the shops. Whatever it is for you, that's what you're tracking. And if every day you tweak something more with your diet, you need to have it changed for a good 4 to 6 weeks. So if you're going to give up dairy, it's got to be 4 to 6 weeks before you can make an assessment of, you know what, I actually can walk further. My pain is only a 3 out of 10, not a 8 out of 10. I'm not getting headaches. You've got to take that starting inventory if you're going to do any of these, because you forget. We're designed to forget the pain. That's why women have more than one baby. We are designed to forget. And it's why doctors and medical practitioners and naturopaths and clinical nutritionists take a very thorough intake form, because I've had clients come back to me over the years and I've said, how's it going? And they'll go, oh, no, a bit about the same. And I'll look at the chart and I'll go, oh, so how are the headaches? And they'll go, oh, no, I haven't had any headaches, because you forget. Okay, so take inventory and review it regularly, review it daily. Take measurements. If you don't like to step on the scales, take measurements. But if you're going to get scales, get the ones that show the water and the fat and all the makeup of what your weight is making up, so that you can see the different reasons why your weight might change. It's not just about weight. So if you're going to reduce or remove any of these, as I said, a good way of doing it, if you can cope with it, is to remove all of them. Dairy, nuts and seeds, artificial sweeteners, the seed oils. Make sure you are including electrolytes, and just start to pay attention to your fat ratio. Have a certain amount of fat every day. If you eat the fat on your meat, your cuts of meat, all the better. It's better than the butter. I can't do that. I'm not a fan of fatty meat, so I have butter with mine. So pay attention to all of that. If you can get off it for 6 weeks and do those things for 6 weeks, and then add them back in one at a time for a few weeks, and watch your measurements, watch your symptoms, watch the things that really bother you, and see what a difference they make. There's no quick fix here. Sadly, that's what everybody wants. We all want that. Let's take some berberine. Let's take a this or that or whatever it is. Unfortunately, with something like lipedema, until they know a lot more about it, there are no quick fixes, right? So even weight loss surgery that allowed me to lose half my body weight was not a quick fix. And I still have the repercussions of it every day, in so much as I can't go out and, go to a buffet restaurant. Like, what is the point? So that sort of thing. So I can't drink and eat at the same time at my meals. So everything has a payoff. So there is never going to be a quick fix. And I know a lot of people look at weight loss surgery and go, oh, you just took the easy way out. No such thing. No such thing. So you've got to decide, are you going to do this way? Are you going to test the things that are affecting your pain, your mobility issues, your, whatever's causing a problem with your quality of life with lipedema? That's what you want to work on. And it's only you that can change that outcome for you. Sorry, that's the way it goes. So that's all I wanted to drop in and tell you. Just a reminder, the little things make a difference. Because my thyroid, if you've been here from the beginning, because my thyroid, I need less medication, my amounts were too high. So the surgery that I was supposed to have tomorrow has been pushed back to Thursday, because those levels need to be reduced before I can have surgery. Because otherwise I wouldn't have been doing this tonight. I would have had a video coming to you. So this, number 50, this is actually my 50th live stream. So that's quite a good one. And so for now, for the next 5 weeks or so, you've got videos twice a week instead. So once again, any questions on any video, or if you need to know more information about something, just drop it in a comment somewhere and say, hey, Kylie, can you look at XYZ for me and do a video on it down the track? And I will come back to you after my surgery and do whatever it is you need to know more information about and have a deeper dive into. So I'm sorry if anyone's commented, because it just says no sorry if something went wrong. I hopefully will see it once I shut it all down, and I can answer you then if you've done that. Have a great week, everybody, and I hope that your lipedema life is amazing this week. Bye.